I guess before the video even begins, I want to kind of go over what I was trying to accomplish with this video. It wasn't necessarily about being accurate. I did want to be as accurate as possible, but my main goal for this video was to create something interesting and compelling out of what happened, and try to do it with as little intervention as possible. Notably with my first draft, it was I tried to cut out as much sort of voiceover exposition as possible. But, and then I got feedback and they're like, "We don't understand what's going on, so that's why I talk a little bit more than what I would have liked." But I think it was a better product because of it. This intro, it was one of the first things I made for the actual video project. It kind of shows because I'm using a lot of early clips that I got from like before I even started making the video here. Um, I want you guys to keep an eye out for little invisible like spectator heads floating around. There's a lot in the intro, and then there's a lot in like day 6, I want to say. They pop up sometimes, and those are just like genuine errors that I just decided to leave in because it's like, maybe one day I was tired or something. They're there if you look for them. I'll try and point out all the little errors I made because, well, I made a couple. This intro actually did go through a couple iterations. It wasn't like anything crazy, but it has changed a bit. This was a little exposition bit I had to add after draft 1, that's why it's a little bare bones. You'll see in this clip that there's actually, well, there's also the Frost stuff in the background, that's whatever, but you'll see Dan's tag pop up for like 1 second. This is because it was this is like one of the first clips I ever exported, and the spectator head.
And ensure the collective survival of everyone, or will chaos reign over this island, allowing only the strongest to persist?
So this was External Flea's day 4 footage, I believe. I just decided to use that. So you guys did that, right? Let's be real here. Did you like that video? You like that video, and did you hit that subscribe button? You should probably do that. I tried so hard to get this to sound natural, because the website I used to get my music tracks, Epidemic Sound, it allows you to basically make custom mixes of tracks that you can find on the website. In this instance, I tried to transition it from a very like full instrumental in the middle of a chorus to only the horns. And I think one thing that was necessarily lost in translation when I was making this video was sort of the hardcore aspect of it. I didn't focus on it as much as I probably would have liked, but I kind of had to abandon it a little bit for the sake of the story. It's very apparent in day 1. I wanted day 1 to be sort of the a tone setter for the rest of the video that sort of ripples throughout the other days as to why some people may have done certain things. That's why, I'll get into it later, but that's why I showed like a death montage only in day 1 and not really any other day. Oh yeah, also early day 1, I should mention that we were still figuring out how everything worked. Basically, I set the hunger way too high on early day 1, and people were starving left and right. That's why the hunger crisis was a sort of plot point in day 1 for the pre-Belbardiers. You'll also notice something exclusive to day 1 was me basically flying down and interviewing people. I interviewed people basically until like day 3. I basically talked to people. But I only kept in the day 1 interviews because that was sort of my idea of the best way to get everyone to sort of summarize their own groups. Yeah, to basically get the introduction, let them speak for themselves. And then I decided to cut all of the day 2 and 3 interactions with one notable exception. The dwarves are leaderless. It was kind of a hard thing to write around because without like a central figure, it's like how do you bring the dwarves into focus? But I think Dovin, or how it's supposed to be pronounced, Dovin, did enough to represent the dwarves.
The time spent escaping the jungle.
So another exposition thing was actually me mentioning the hunger crisis. Originally, that kind of just went without saying, and I kind of assumed that like it would be communicated, but I had to bring that in. Originally, it just cut to the
Well,
we have nothing, but here's our chicken, Ramsey.
small group of
Another
Circuit,
point of exposition
Sono
right
Fleet,
there.
and
I
Logoman were tight.
originally did not mention
However,
the
as Circuit
basically
left to scatter,
3 of the
a new
pre-Bell
player
Bardiers
arrived.
group being like a close-knit unit. Little bit of the stretch of the truth, but they were there in the group with each other, and they do end up becoming important people later. I thought it was fair. More of the music messing with the instruments and intensity of everything. You can hear the drum, the percussion of the full track here. This was a reenactment, which basically means I got everyone onto the server after the event ended and basically had them sort of act out a part of the story. In this case, it was Mac Genius discovering the circuit group, and the reason I did that is because sometimes we either don't get the footage, or maybe it's not exactly clear or satisfying what actually happens in the event. And that's what I mean by small embellishments. It's just these reenactments that sort of try and make the story flow smoother. I think in the actual event, it wasn't exactly the case that Mac and Flea met like this. It was more like Mac kind of just came in with a group of people and just started to go from there. This is another exposition to start drawing out motivations.
Themselves swept up in Mac Genius's takeover. Some will fall in line, and others do not. In the plains, many smaller groups formed up, including the Chaos Miners, subterranean dwellers seeking music discs, and the first group to find Diamond, which they turned into a jukebox. The Hog Rider brothers, who wanted to build a village to defend themselves against the threat of other villages and clans. And finally,
the rare glowing spectator head. That's a rarity right there. That was really like day 1 and 2, I decided to give all the admins glowing so people could see like where we were, but that wasn't a good idea. Originally, that scene with introducing Nella was longer, where basically she talked about her sort of blueprints for her tavern and was like, hey, so it turns out there's not really a lot of room for you to run your banner shop diamonds, so like blah blah blah. It didn't really fit in, so I just decided to cut it out. Oh, the Lake Cult. I decided to include these guys, I decided to include these guys because I wanted them to be like the example. So I wanted to give them attention as if they were going to be like a permanent fixture into the world. But I wanted to show that, it's not exactly guaranteed that even if you do group up, you have to work together.
However, the building of their shelter would be
Glib died end of day 1. Didn't show it because I don't think anyone got it because he was all the way up in the north in the snow and basically died like underneath the ice or to a polar bear or something. So that was kind of weird. So that's why Glib doesn't appear after this Lake Cult thing. Yeah, I did not like the whole shrine idea. I wasn't gonna do anything about it because I was trying really hard not to make any influences on things, but unfortunately, the D-Comet shrine is kind of literally a case of me having some kind of influence or intervention on the experiment. So wasn't a huge fan, nothing I could really do about it, kind of just let it play out, and it kind of worked out. Did you notice the music lost its melody there?
With the rest of the worshippers scattering to whichever group would take them in. Other smaller settlements did not fare so well either. One of the first victims of the night was Fun Arvin.
Didn't actually see this death, so it's just the crater. The original take of that was basically me just going reduced to a crater, which felt a little disrespectful, so I changed it. Yeah, so this is like a little death montage I decided to do to show how dangerous things were, while also juxtaposing it with the big groups that were doing a lot better. I don't think anyone from either group died. I think even Potato survived at this point. He survived until like day 2. I really should have cut this sun rising scene. It's a little awkward, but in the original draft, it kind of made a little more sense, timing-wise. Consequences of day 1 being shown in this scene here, where these little groups kind of either dissipated or integrated.
Wait, why are you using the sheep? What happened? What?
We're trading the cows and sheep.
Wait, what? Why?
We're just gonna merge into this bigger faction.
Wait, what?
We're just allying with the dwarves.
Oh.
Sierra was left alone, but you know, she had a big-ass fortress to herself, so it wasn't all that bad. I cannot exaggerate how often these guys were just ringing that goddamn bell. They did it like at the beginning and end of every day. Yeah, head diplomat of the bells. Bellhead. Here we go, establishing circus motivations for later actions.
Right here, first next to me.
Okay. Why do you have the tower there?
I wanted to do something. I've got 2 towels now.
Okay, perfect. I know what you can do then. Alright? So,
Mac Genie's basically shutting down what Circuit wants to do.
you're going to
Later in the video, I bring up the towers again.
With a single order from the Shogun, Circuit's dreams were sidelined. Many survivors of Day 1 would find the dwarves and be welcomed into one of the largest groups on the island. The former Lake Cult, most of the Chaos Miners, and even a few players who managed to make it on their own for the first night, like the player.
So Frost wasn't actually in the game on day 1. So basically, I just kind of glossed over and said, oh, you know, he lived through it somehow. No need to explain that any further.
Dude, what do you plan on using that? Where are you planning on using that?
I plan on getting more, and then I plan on having fun. Do you guys like fun?
With the night coming for our islanders once again, this night would not be as dangerous as the previous, as there were now established shelters all around the island. Even the abandoned lake.
I should have cut this scene down a little more, but it's alright.
Oh, hi. Is this your house?
Also, didn't mean to sound completely unenthusiastic about this. It's just, that's my tone of voice. Can't do anything about it.
Alright. Not knowing of the history and tragedy that befell the previous inhabitants, it seems that the scars of Day 1 were beginning to heal.
That, I actually cut down the ending a little bit. I think I had an extra line in there that was like ever so slightly, and it's like that's a little redundant. It's oh yeah. So there were bees like everywhere on the server. I tried spawning them in like the jungle and part of the forest that's in the plains, but they just went everywhere, and you can see one. Like you see, it goes at a render distance, but it's there. So a little bit. I was a little worried that Max sort of, as Orion puts it, a heel turn would be like too sudden and out of left field. I tried to kind of ease it in a little bit by sort of mentioning that he kind of just took over the group and then disregarded Circuit's whatever, let's call it passions or plans or whatever. But here is definitely a tangible instance of him being a little sus. So this sequence is a little aimless, I want to say, because he's supposed to be talking to the dwarves, but instead he goes to see Sierra, but it wasn't too much of a big deal to me.
Hey, what is this place? I mean, I'm really the only one here. I just built this wall around here. You built all this by yourself? Well, I built most of it. That building
yeah. Sierra is always finding herself in some less than ideal circumstances. I don't want to call her like a victim of my stupid rules, but I mean it kind of was that, wasn't it? Her group pretty much took most of what was in there and kind of left her alone.
So the Chaos Miners? Yeah. Alright. That's nice.
With the major groups getting along well, Mac Genius decides to show both his power and his goodwill by constructing a tunnel between the two bases. He sends out the Belbardiers to mine and collect resources. Nello
So this was a
focuses
really
on
cool
despite the
thing
loss
because
of
I
his
just
son
showed
Norman,
Circuit
and works on the
moving
turret
into the
alone. It
snow
won't be long
to
before
get
she
wood
found
and
help
stuff,
from an
but
unlikely
and
place.
she ended up here.
What you building? A tavern.
And then she finds Nello,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna offer.
later Sierra, and then she kind of has a little bit of a... It's almost like she gets focused in her goals from this point.
Okay, that's cool. That's funny because I was just sent by my group over in the mountains to chop a bunch of wood.
It isn't long after until Sierra. the
Honestly,
lone
I kind of
Chaos
don't
Miner,
like giving
approached
Sierra the Lone
with an
Chaos
offer to
Miner
help.
title, but
The
she
Circuit
kind of
claimed
needed
they were no
something in
longer
order to be
alone.
important,
And as
so I was
she
like,
helped, Circuit
let's
began
just
to
remember her
understand
this
place
way.
on this island,
I
and
guess
what
one
she
thing I
wanted to
should
be.
mention
Coming
is
to understand
that
it
if you're
thereafter,
wondering why my
she
microphone
begins
sounds
to
different at
reconsider
certain
her
points,
allegiances.
it wasn't because I was using a different
Machinations
mic.
of Mac
It's
Genius
literally
appeared
just I was using
themselves
a
to be a
different
railroad
orientation
stretching from the
because
Shogunate Castle to the
basically I
mountain
want to
running to the
say
dwarves. Mac
like
Genius wanted to
2/3 of
show
the
the
way through
dwarves how
making the
much he
video,
desires
I
peace
got
by allowing
a
quick travel to
I
and
got a
from the
boom arm
Shogunate,
for the
stopping
mic,
right in the
so it
heart of
changed the
Belbardier
way
Castle.
it
It was a
faces
display
me
of
when I
trust,
speak into
knowing
it,
that
so
neither
that's why it
side would
sounds a
abuse
little
their
different.
goodwill.
And that's why
Mac
in some of
Genius's
the
true
clips, when
worries
I
should
was
not lie with either
re-recording
side.
some of my voiceover,
Assuming the
it
worst,
sounds
a
kind of
few of the
bad
Belbardiers
because I
set
didn't
out to
really,
rescue
I wasn't
Circuit.
really used to talking into it yet, and I didn't know how exactly to position it to make it sound better. So, once again, I couldn't, like, continue to reiterate on the details. I was just like, whatever, it sounds good enough, better than what it was before.
Lost in the forest for the longest time.
Oh my god, I was getting wood and then it turned night, so I had to find somewhere to stay. There were mobs absolutely everywhere, so I came here and offered my help for a place to stay.
I did not use any AI to like make Mac Genius say anything. Everything that he says in this video is something that came out of his mouth for the express purpose of communicating certain ideas.
I made it back.
He was not lying about any of this stuff. So when we cut to this conversation he's having with Kiryu and Frost, it was legitimately like real as rain. He was just talking about autonomy and people having autonomy and being the leader of people,
Circuit
and
returned to Belbardier Castle with a new idea to bring peace to the island. A rebellion.
maybe I could have saved the rebellion reveal for day 4, but I kind of wanted to have it be a little cliffhanger.
With the construction of the railway, enough of the dwarves have accepted Mac Genius's proposal for an alliance, and the bond between the two entities would be known as the Dwellers' Alliance.
Fun
However,
fact with
Genius
this
encountered
scene
some
with Mac
problems.
walking down the
How do you keep
railway,
the alliance
he was
fierce?
lagging like
Especially
crazy.
with
So
neither
basically,
half
I
of
had
the
to
alliance
cut
having
the
moved
video
in.
in a way
Mac
that
Genius obviously had
made it
preference
seem a
for his
little bit
option.
more
He was
natural. It
going
kind of
with
looks
it.
like he's still
But who would take
jittering a
up an
little, but
impartial role as a
I wasn't going to
representative
do
for
anything
both
about that.
sides?
So
And then it hit him.
yes, I decided to include
Someone in
Mac
the
Genius's
plains
harebrained
was far
idea to
enough
have a
removed from the
representative for the
Belbardiers and the
Alliance,
dwarves to not hold a
unaligned but
particular
like
bias one way or
coerced into
another.
doing it.
He had to convince Sierra
It's
to
a
take his
pretty
idea with us,
whatever
but he couldn't
plot
do it
point
alone.
overall,
He
but I
needed
think
some
it
backup.
does illustrate Mac's sort of let's call it a penchant for
Tony's house, that's him.
violent and ridiculous action. I decided to give Tony some aura, so included this whole scene for Tony.
Your services.
Yeah, Mac went a little crazy in day 4.
Just a
I
minute.
hated the person using...
You said
They
you
got
were-
banned, so I can't mention their name, but the person who was using a water bucket in this scene,
Do you also do kidnapping?
I tried to cut out the
Like,
water,
you
but
kidnap
it was
people
still
for
there,
You
so...
think you can do it?
Also, Tony was incredibly quiet. I didn't turn up his audio until later,
If you really need us.
so that's why some of the audio sounded a little wonky.
You know where the person is?
Yes, I know.
I want you to kidnap her, bring her here. Alright, and
Okay.
if anyone tries to stop you, go ahead, do what you gotta do. Alright?
Circuit left halfway through the conversation and retreated into the snowy woods, freshly emboldened in her ambitions. She travels until she reaches stone
Spectator
pillars
head.
and begins to build. Meanwhile, the plan is now underway. Tony heads out to meet Sierra.
Hey, Sierra, so...
Only after this video was up did I notice that Noah was just standing there the whole time, pretty much. She was just standing there until she heard she was being taken in, and then she was like, wait a minute, I have to stop this.
So, told me that I might have to take you by force if you don't accept.
What?
Please don't kidnap my only neighbor. I'm extremely
Is it
lonely
because,
out
like,
here.
I mean, I can.
Yeah, it was pretty annoying when people would move around during like
Okay, yeah.
scenes and stuff. Oh, did you see
So,
those sprint
why
particles?
exactly do they want me
That
to
was the
kill
band
you?
person. Van person just followed around
I have no
Sierra and
idea.
Nella
You
like
just hired
basically
me.
the whole
You just
time.
want to follow me?
Yeah.
It was
I mean,
such a
they
stupid
set the trap, they
plan,
don't have to, like,
but it happened, so I had to
Nah, I don't
talk
think it's
about it.
bad.
They don't have an actual reason to kill me, do they? 'Cause, like, I didn't do anything to
Nah,
them.
I don't think so. They seem that they just want you to be their leader.
Oh,
perfect.
Oh,
And
I remember
heel
that
turn
place.
time, where he goes from like
Oh,
kind of a
perfect.
industrious person to someone completely insane.
Come here.
Man, it makes me feel
Guys,
kind of bad that I
Michael
didn't
Cole,
step in and
our
do
new
something
sprint
about this.
leader.
I'm not
I
doing
hope it's not hard feelings that this was in the video,
Oh,
Sierra.
I don't think you have much of a choice.
I will be back. No one followed me. I'm going to go stink.
If you do this, if
No.
you there's
Leave me
no
alone.
going back. If you
I
do
will-
this, there's no going back. We will
I will come back
destroy
in a second.
everything. You better.
I will come back.
Escaping Mac Genius's coercion, Sierra goes to Nello for support.
The scene was cut down a little bit. There were some extra scenes. I was trying to find scenes of them in the like in Nello's like bunker area that was pretty much behind them in this scene, but I couldn't, so I kind of
It is
just
now apparent how the
let it be
position of
like
Shogun
this.
has changed
Also,
Mac
eating
Genius into
particles from
someone
band
brash,
player.
foolish, yet powerful. Desperate for his plan to be successful,
Exposition
Mac
added after
Genius hastily
draft.
sets his sights on someone else.
This scene was cut down a little bit too, just cut out some fluff about Koi.
I never seen this person, but welcome to the team.
Just mentioning Koi for like a minute, and then they drop out of the video.
You know Sarah.
I'm very bad with names, I'm
Oh,
afraid.
okay, flying green. You.
Yes.
Yeah, the bells were definitely sycophantic, but whatever. They were also the most interesting people.
Alright, cool. You're the leader now.
Okay. What do I do?
That's
With Mac's strange plan subsided for now, the rebellion continues to develop. A traveler named Kiryu Varys stumbles upon Circuit and her fledgling home.
This seems nice. I thought this was like another group.
No, this is my work in progress. The others don't know about it.
They haven't found it?
No, they haven't found it yet, and I'm really surprised.
Yeah, because it's so big.
I know. The only rule I
So
have
this
here
little
is bells.
half opacity, little spamming the bell scene.
I walk back
This
and
was the
I'm spamming the bell.
this was originally the scene all the way back in like day 2
Bells.
when the social structure was being established.
Honestly, I walk
This was
back and I'm
originally
spamming
the
bell. It's hell over
that
there.
right there was
Bell.
originally
It's
the
hell over there.
the clip I used.
There's
There was something off with it. I don't exactly remember, but there was something off about it. So basically I replaced it, but I kept a little piece of it right there.
With Mac Genius's handling of the Alliance, the two of them agree that just a simple unseating of power is no longer the way forward.
Yeah.
Posing the assassination.
Well, okay, I'm thinking tell
I
them
really
about
hope
it,
everything made sense, cause
lead 'em
oh
over.
my god.
Hopefully I'll just,
Do you plan
It was
any,
honestly
like, to-
such a massive
No,
undertaking to try and make sense of this whole
I'll
story.
either maybe
Because,
tomorrow or the day after.
you know, it's a game. People do things for little to no reason, or
Hell
because,
Good at
you know,
picking
it's
me?
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell.
And sometimes what's fun isn't what makes a good story, you know what I mean?
The plan to
Hopefully I
assassinate Mac Genius
represented
was
everything
underway.
alright and, you know, made something that made sense.
In the morning of day 5,
Love this opening. It's probably one of my favorite opens.
The Bongler, a rogue prankster that didn't just hit the dwarves, but the Belbardiers too.
God, day 5 was such a hassle to make because, unfortunately, there just wasn't a whole lot happening. Assassination was going to be tomorrow, but not just that, it was kind of like this lull in the story. And I want to make something very clear because it seems to be like a common misconception. So people think I created the bongler or like prompted it to happen in some way, or even like that I am the bongler. I was not. I wouldn't. First of all, that's a stupid idea. I wouldn't do that. But secondly, this was all just a player's idea.
Entire island looking for the bongler, but the mystery surrounding their identity caused some people to begin to doubt the peace that was so easily achieved with the alliance. Luckily, Dovin was constructing a meeting room between the two settlements that would hopefully serve as a neutral ground for any disputes once the bongler incident is solved.
This is a recreated scene right here. I don't know why I had it take place in the council building. I thought by day 5 the council building was made, but it was actually just starting to get built. So whatever. I basically had to edit the scene, the reenactment to have it only be a partially finished council building.
Yeah. What's going on with the bongler?
And yeah, this is the only Mac scene in day 5 because originally Mac Genius wasn't actually here on day 5. They had some complication with their internet or something, but basically this was just a reenactment to give Mac a little bit of story presence in day 5 because it's not exactly satisfying when someone just isn't around for a whole day because you're like, well, what have they been doing the whole time, you know? In a game, that's more understandable because, you know, you can't play all the time. Sometimes you gotta bow out for whatever reason, but in like a more traditional story, it kind of just like, not exactly good writing to just not mention a character that's important and that the audience kind of needs to know what's happening.
Yeah. What's going on with the bongler
Yeah.
right now?
Randomly just doors and a bunch of other things like
So I got a reenactment to kind of explain, number one, Flea's involvement with the bongler situation, because they were always a bit like a little bit separated from what Frost was doing with the rest of the sort of island behind him. Flea was always kind of on their own doing things. That's my interpretation, at least. Also, kind of a weird quirk that popped up while I was editing these scenes and such was Mac Genius cutting people off. And in the actual game, you can't really cut people off because of latency and stuff, but I can certainly make it happen in this game, or in this video.
Yeah.
While the rest of the island began to scramble against this new threat, Circuit fully committed to the rebellion and exiled herself to build the Silent Snow Fortress, a rebel base on the other side of the mountain range. This was something she'd
I'm so glad I edited or put this in after draft 1, because it adds layers to everything. You can see all the way back in day 1 she had a reason to not exactly be for the rebellion, or sorry, the Belvardiers, all the way back in day 1. She technically had a reason. I mean, she didn't have a reason to kill Mac then, but she does now, but, like, you know, the seed was there all the way back in, like, day 2.
With the bongler hitting the still unfinished tavern, Nello had enough.
This is the exception to the interview thing I was talking about. I literally could not find another thing to use here. So I had to basically use myself kind of going down. So what really happened with Nello and the tavern was one of the rules for the experiment was that the mining speed was greatly reduced. It was reduced by 2/3. So basically it took 3 times longer to break anything. And the ripple effect of that was that most resources that required time to mine were in way shorter supply. So basically what happened was that it was taking so long because Nello was mostly on her own. There were a few visitors here and there that helped her out, but she was mostly on her own, so she basically just didn't have any time to finish it. She didn't think she'd get it done in time, so she was like... And it was also not really turning out the way she wanted, so she said, screw it, I'm burning it all down, and I'm leaving this sick-ass floor. and I had to spin that into being a bongler hit. That kind of made her tear it all down. It made her frustrated with kind of the condition of the world. So I decided against this in the end, but I was considering moving some of the like day 6 stuff to day 5. Mostly the bongler stuff. Make it, but then it like, you know, pacing issues, so I just decided to keep it the way it was. Notice how the camera points to the jungle?
They're in the jungle.
I think that's a pretty solid theory.
Granddaddy Frost leads the pack into the mostly unexplored jungle, while External Flea searches independently within the settlements. Meanwhile,
One of the stupidest and most impressive, at least personally in my opinion, things I did was combining the stupid circuit track and the Mac Genius track. Because they don't really fit at all, but they kind of do, so it works.
To discuss news?
That sounds suspicious. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm gonna see the other side how the team is doing. Hey!
Oh, hi. Hello.
Circuit, where's that wood?
Okay. The wood, it should be in the chest. Currently, I have only 7.
I like how
I probably should have chose different music for this point because Mac was confronting Circuit a little bit on how dodgy she was, but
I would say get more wood.
whatever, bygones. But essentially what I was trying to do here was like Mac was sort of on the track to figure out who exactly Circuit really was, but the pieces never really came together in time. Like, he still thinks that she's sort of with him.
You know, it's not really, and they don't have a lot to trade. And I have a
Like,
feeling
he has the
that
feeling.
happens tomorrow. What do you think? But what do you think might happen?
And then he learns that there is a rebellion, so he's like, it's nearly there. He probably would have figured it out if he had day 6 to kind of mull it over. But he, as we know, he didn't. Pretty big retcon here. Dovin is not talking about the Silent Snow Fortress. He's talking about another structure in the snow that didn't actually make an appearance in the video.
I guess this will do.
Alright, you're gonna buy it as a nation flag? A stack of iron.
But basically, the reason why this was such a huge deal was, you see those sets of iron armor on everyone? That was pretty much everyone's net worth, because iron was hard to get. Maybe a little too hard, but it was really hard to get. It was slower to mine. You only got a nugget out of every ore. That is smelted all in nuggets, and then you crafted it into ingots. So every piece of iron was all that.
Shortly after
That's
the bank
why
transaction,
Nello requesting a
Mac
stack of
Genius
iron
returned
was
to the sugar
completely
and
outrageous in this
unfortunately
economy.
had to leave the server early
So this
due
was
to
actually a
health complications.
vestige
Throughout the
of
remaining day,
a
players would wish her well by
Kiryu
writing
plotline
signs
that
on the platform
happened
to server early and
in
health
day 7
complications.
that was
Throughout the
just
remaining day,
completely cut.
players would wish her well by
Because
writing signs on the
originally,
platform to leave
well,
the server
I'll talk
early
about it
due
more
to
when the
health
Kiryu scene
complications.
pops up.
Throughout the remaining day,
But
players would wish her well by
this
writing signs
could have
on
been
the
cut
platform to
and
the
nothing
server
really
early
would
due to
change,
health
but
complications.
it's a
Throughout the
little
remaining
feel good,
day,
so
players would
I
wish
guess
her
it has
well
a
by
reason to
writing
stay.
signs on the platform.
That was a reenactment.
External Flea searching
Basically,
for Bongler would bring him to
all
witness
of
a
the
familiar face.
External Flea and Logie Man stuff kind of happened
Desperate
like
to put
over
an
the
end to
course of
scrap
the
goose
entire
chase, he
day
made the decision
and
to put in
didn't
the
really
Chaos
culminate
Force
in this
throne
one
and
moment.
execute Logie Man.
Big thanks to External Flea for having a replay of, or
External
no,
Flea
it was
searching for Bongler would bring
Small
him to
Lawn Gnome that
witness
had
a
it.
familiar face.
External Flea just had the recording. For the replay,
Desperate to put an end to the
this really
scrap
helped.
goose chase, Lee made the
I
decision
really
to
wanted to get
Chaos
the
once
scene
and
of the
for all
execution,
and
so
execute Logie Man. Mac returned
there was
to the
originally
with new
a
sense of
minute and a
peace.
half
The
scene
plains seemed to mostly forgive him.
reenactment
The
of
dwarves are allied with
basically
his people
Circuit
and
and
peace
Mac
with
Genius
Bongler,
having
and soon he'll be expanding the
this
railroad
sort
throughout the
of
entire island so people can
long
be more connected
talk
than ever.
through
The
Circuit with her
rebellion was right
grievances
behind him.
and Mac Genius basically defending himself. We cut it, and
Alright.
man, the video is much better because of it. the pace of the scene was just
Rebellion made their
ground to a
choice.
halt with that scene. So very glad I cut it. It's a nice clean kill.
Mac Genius
I mean,
is
I
dead.
liked the acting.
No
It
less
was
standing
just
on his
not
greatest
the right
accomplishment as
pacing.
Shogun, but only
It's
one person
unfortunate.
knew of this.
This really was the most important scene for me to get right, so there was a lot of
The rebellion made
work
their
put
choice.
into it. It's a lot of work to get it right because it is the pivotal moment. It's kind of the inciting incident into
Genius
the last
dead.
act of the
No
story.
less standing on his greatest accomplishment as Shogun, but only one person knew of this. External Flea.
Someone killed Mac.
This was one of the last things I did for the video, actually, was putting in these little flashbacks to better contextualize, like, you know, because you're the audience, you are allowed to have a better perspective over what Flea saw and over what actually happened. So I put these in to show what happened right before Mac died. I like this kind of stuff, where it's like you get the alternate perspectives without it feeling redundant.
So Mac's
Yeah.
gone.
Mac is dead, murdered by Kiryu.
While Circuit managed to get away, Kiryu became a suspect and was captured. But before Kiryu went to trial, the hunting group
So,
led by Granddaddy Frost.
let me just preface this upcoming scene by saying,
Everyone, I know who the bong
you know, I'm a very vigilant person. I want things to be correct, you know?
Wrong about the real bomb. As it turns out,
The original
bombing did not stop after the
circumstances
execution
for
was
what's
over.
about to go
External Flea had
down,
taken an innocent
they were
boy from
difficult,
his
okay?
cage. Worse yet,
A lot of this video was
his own
difficult to
friend.
make, but
With blood on
I probably
his
had the
hands
most
and
trouble
the
with
ire
trying to
of the entire
justify
island,
people's
there
irrational
was only
actions
one way.
in a way that makes sense. So the actual reason why the suicide happened was Flea was bored and killed himself. But you know, there was that little bongler thing and it tied into what Frost was doing, so I shrug and say whatever. That's how it goes.
Flea was
So Flea kills himself because they want the bongler situation to finally end. Doesn't make the most sense, makes enough sense. Also, thank you, Dan, for making that a little bit juicier.
With blood on his hands and the ire of the entire island.
And it does complicate the trial a little bit. I think it would have been a one and done case if Flea had the chance to speak for himself.
Despite the death of the sole witness External Flea, the Dwellers Alliance marched to the council, ready to decide Kiryu's fate.
So I think it was Dan who mentioned that the camera here was focused on Flea's face, but do you notice who it's panning to? Also, spectator head, that's probably the worst example because it's right there. And because my view window in DaVinci Resolve is kind of small, I didn't actually see it until the vid was exported, but whatever.
So, and I know somebody beforehand told me that they gave some gunpowder to somebody for rockets.
Yeah, that was me. I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was. I think it was Kiryu.
Spectator.
The main reason I am suspecting Kiryu and accusing him of it is because that is who External
I feel like if the trial wasn't interrupted, it'd be an absolute disaster, but luckily, got out of that, got out of that, hole pretty quickly. Unfortunately, I did have to make Dovin a little stupid in this trial.
I think I know who's the other suspect.
Who do you think it is?
Well, right on that side, there's a tower, and in that tower, I saw a sign.
This is
Balladeer
part of the
said
retcon
they were
too.
rebelling against them. The person that lives in that tower is Huggle Rug.
Oh, the Hog Rider?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, them.
I believe he's responsible.
Okay. Yeah, the last time I saw.
And this was a little mini arc I decided to do because I felt a little bad that Huggle was basically written out of most of the story up to this point. I was like, okay, well, Zombie mentions that Huggerug's out in the desert. Huggerug was in like the chase against Frost. Might as well introduce Huggerug there and give Huggerug a little bit of like that, like almost like a little like cameo.
Okay, so what are our thoughts?
Because of how many people there are in this room.
Maybe I could have made Frost a little bit more present in the story, but I want you guys to watch Frost as he kind of does all this shenanigan stuff.
Yeah, he has plenty.
I'm particularly proud of this scene for one reason.
Because like that stands out.
Good idea.
Yeah, there's a chest there if you bring it full. What the? Oh no.
So he goes out of the door, and when the camera flips around, he's on the roof. Now, how in the world do you think that's the case? Called editing. See, between him being on the roof and him basically leaving the room, it was like 30 seconds. So basically what I did was I took this camera, and right when, basically right here, it cuts, hard cuts to the other side. Probably the most ambitious thing I did, other than some stuff in like day 1 and 2. Another one of the last scenes I added here, before the camera was in a different place, in this part, and it didn't show Circuit. Rain brought up that Circuit was actually in close proximity while everyone was sort of charging towards Frost, so I got this cool last scene of all of the people crossing the railway while Circuit looks on.
Wait, what? There's a
And
giant
here's the Huggerug with the sliding camel. Ah, I love the sliding camel. This is the sort of climactic final battle. It isn't a traditional final battle of civilization events, you know, with the war and stuff. It's kind of just everyone coming together to take out the almost like the last threat of the event, and you'll see that here in a second.
You know, if you kill me, you'll never know the bungalow.
He's dead.
Yeah,
The
he's dead.
bungler is not
Pretty
our
cool.
good
I got
side.
that sick ass line from Cat King.
I'm like 99% sure. Oh my god, that scared me.
Did Kiryu run for it, or?
Yeah, Kiryu is not.
Cat King was also sort of a last minute addition, in terms of like becoming like a main character, because I realized that they kind of spearheaded a lot of the not the Bongler, the Kiryu stuff. I really did try to find tracks that would represent characters. Unfortunately, it only really panned out for Circuit and Mac Genius, because unfortunately they were also the ones with the most appearances, but I mean, it works for them. There were actually tracks for every group. Generally, the only ones that didn't have one were the smaller Plains groups.
That's not good.
Circuit has a lot of rebuilding to do, but luckily, that's just what she's good at. After a scan of the entire island, Kiryu Varus is nowhere to be found.
So that right there is the biggest retcon that I did for the video.
Is he underground, surviving in the iron mine?
In the actual event, Kiryu Varus did not go missing, did not run away. No, fate was not unknown. What really happened was something I could not begin to explain, but basically through a series of like I don't even know, let's call it stupidity. Kiryu got away completely scot-free. Essentially, Dovin kind of took Kiryu aside as everyone was like wary of him, but not necessarily trying to detain or attack him, and was like, be real with me. Did you do it? And Kiryu went, basically waffled for like 10 minutes and was like, no, and then Dovin was like, okay, and everyone just forgot. And I hope you guys can see how that's kind of an unsatisfying conclusion to the whole Kiryu arc. So basically, I decided to give Kiryu some actual consequences reflecting his actions, hiding away while Circuit got away with it because she never got caught.
However, Kiryu was only one half of the rebellion, and the other half now feels confident in making herself public once more.
I read a whole Bible.
The Bible, the brotage.
Cool.
Yep.
I was never going to include the brotage in the video, unfortunately.
But yeah. Flea? You mean this guy I'm holding the head of? Where are you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy.
This is a funny exchange.
Oh, well that's something.
Really,
Yeah,
really
you're right.
tragically funny.
I see.
Yeah, it
Do
was
we know
quite the shock
why?
to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't it just you, me, and Husky left with this place?
Wait, out of everyone?
Well, I think so.
Oh, I hope not. If so, we're screwed.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think the rest of our group has just gone explore. They went exploring to hunt down the old man that placed TNT to try to kill us. Apparently they did kill him, but I tried to go get something and I went back and they all vanished. There should still be people from our group, although our leader, Mac Genius, is presumably dead.
Only 4 Belbardiers returned home after Kiryu was declared missing. Circuit's plan, as well as the acts of the Bongler, had reduced the Belbardiers to nearly nothing. However, they still had each other. With the day winding
And here's
down,
the final
it seemed that the
sort of,
threats that plagued our islanders were finally behind them.
sequence.
The rebellion was fully abandoned by Circuit, as she vowed to rebuild her home. The Bongler, despite their identity never being discovered, was no longer active as well. Now, it was certain that the world was finally at peace. Everyone went to Nello's platform to celebrate their deeds and honor the ones they lost. Dan would take the opportunity to come forward and share the future of the Belbardiers.
Everyone gather around. I got a long
Brotage.
story to tell y'all. All right, kids, everyone sit down.
I mean, I wasn't just gonna not mention the brotage. Come on.
Expediter, A Story of Justice, Community, and Sticks by Mr. Dan 1009 and copied by Husky 1268.
And it was indeed a very long story. After reading, Dan would announce himself as the head of the new Belbardiers, a religious establishment in service to the very long story he serenaded the party with. As our islanders continue to celebrate, the night retreats once more, the final danger overcome.
And that last sentence there was basically me sort of declaring that the sole goal of survival had been met. No more dangers would plague our islanders. That's the story. Yeah. And yeah, after day 7, opened up an SMP that basically waived basically all the rules and let people do whatever they wanted. This is actually Potato's giant potato field. I never mentioned it was potato, but big potato field basically representing that their food insecurity was no longer a thing. Yeah, big thanks to everyone here in the credits. Couldn't have done it without you, obviously.
Yes, all this courtesy.
Yeah, Circuit legitimately did build this, and funny story, she literally built it in like a couple days, I think. When I was like, I had to beg her to build stuff because I'm like, well, I don't just want to leave it how it was. I want to show like the time has passed and improvements have been made. You know? So I was like, Circuit, please.
To spread peace of the bells, and we read it. People enjoyed it, but nobody actually really converted.
I really like Tony's house. Yeah, pretty much all of these builds were Circuit.
Your castle, did you?
I did.
And I see you've also been helping out the other groups with their own building projects.
It's trying to be helpful.
And I want to know what's been happening since, since all that stuff went down.
I've kept
That was
and
my
building more relationships.
35 players on a Hardcore Island, however you want to name it, experiment video. Took 7 goddamn months to make. The original event was in late October, and I started working on the video in January because of some stuff I don't want to get into, but it took a really long time. Suffice it to say, it's going to be a while before I do another one of those, at the very least. It was a good experience. You know, I definitely had my down days when I was working on it. Wasn't easy for sure, and it definitely took a while. But it was nice. I wasn't just gonna give up on that video because, you know, I didn't want to do it anymore on a given day. I think it came out pretty good for quite literally the first video project I've done that wasn't just like something simple.